So what's going on, everybody? You're probably here because, maybe you got the same message I did on my phone that these games would be leaving Game Pass, or maybe you just didn't even fucking know they were leaving and now you want to see what they're about and see if they're worth playing, or maybe you don't even have the fucking time to sit here and research and spend hours trying to figure out if these games are going to be something you want to play. Because they leave on the 30th. So, that's why you're here. This is going to be a quick review of all the games that are going to be leaving Game Pass on April 30th. And that way you guys can have some information on whether you want to play the game, whether it's not worth your time, or maybe you just want to be entertained and you're bored right now. So, that's what this video is going to be about. And I hope you guys enjoy. Also remember to fucking subscribe. Before the video really starts, quick disclaimer, these are just kind of quick reviews and quick overviews of the games. I really didn't play them for all that long because I don't really have the time between work, and these games are leaving, on the 30th. And so I put in a little bit of time on each one, just to kind of get a feel for the game and to be able to show you guys some gameplay as we talk about each game. That way you can kind of see if it's the style of game you'd want to play, or even just the controls seem like something you would like. So just a disclaimer on that part. So I wouldn't expect a full review on these games. If you're looking for full reviews, there's probably plenty out there, but this is just kind of a quick overview of each game to see if it's something you'd be even willing to try before it goes. So yeah. Alright, so at number 1, this actually just got added recently to this list. We have Grand Theft Auto 5. Not really going to talk too much about it. It's been out for fucking years. If you haven't played it already, too fucking bad. Basically, the campaign's pretty good. Online is a fucking cesspool of griefers now. Fucking sucks balls. Everything's super fucking expensive for no reason, just basically to get you to buy shark cards, and that's about the extent of it. You probably have already wasted enough time on this game, so whatever. Number 2, we have Fallout 4. Not even gonna really fucking talk about this game. It's a huge mess. Don't waste your time with it. I've played through it twice. Linear story, boring ass dialogue. Game breaks like half the fucking time, and somehow Todd thinks it just works. So we're just gonna move straight past that. At number 3, we have Bomber Crew. Bomber Crew is an extremely fun game. I feel like everybody should give it a shot. The missions are pretty simple, and they're pretty repetitive, but that's not really the point of the game. Is the actual missions. It's the gameplay of getting to manage your crew and everything, and it's really fun if you kind of have that little strategy tactics itch that needs to be scratched that Xbox doesn't really provide too much of. But it's really fun getting to manage your entire crew. You have gunners, you have your pilot, and all of these people have different abilities they can do, and they have different ways of leveling up that give them different skills. The management's really the most fun part, other than upgrading everything as well. You can upgrade the clothing and gear your people wear, so you can have them wear upgraded flak vest or like survival vests. They have like sea and land survival vests. In case your plane goes down, you'll have a better chance of recovering crew members and things of that nature. It's a really, really fun game. There's a lot of customization as far as your gear goes, but also your airplane goes. You can change the guns into like a standard to a belt-fed version where you don't actually have to manually tell your guy to go reload. It'll just reload on its own. They have different, like 30 cals, 50 cals. They have different versions of those same guns as well. So there's a lot going on as far as customization goes and upgrades to your people and to your planes that are really, really additional, are really, really necessary to get through some missions, because some missions are extremely hard. You have to have the armored engines and the armored fuselage and just the upgraded systems, because systems will go out on you if they get shot up too much, or even going at too high of an altitude. Some of your systems won't work that great. So if you're looking for a fun like simulation management game with lots of flexibility and upgrades, this would probably be the game for you. The graphically, it's nothing crazy. It's kind of cartoony, but I feel like that really adds to the game, and it's really colorful and vibrant, and it keeps you kind of hooked in. I can sit here and play this game for hours and not get bored. So, highly recommend giving it a try before it goes. And it's on sale. It's like $10, so if you end up really enjoying it, it could be worth the buy as well. So, we'll say definitely worth it on this one. At number 4, we have Braid. It's not really a genre I get too much into. It's kind of similar to like a platformer. It's kind of like Mario or something like that. But it's definitely interesting. It kept my attention longer than I expected it to. Because like I said, I'm not really a platformer person. But this one's got a pretty fun little game style. The platforming is your basic, jump on enemies' heads and stuff. But the puzzles are the really interesting part of this. You have this mechanic where you can reverse time and speed up time and forward and everything like that. So you actually have to use that mechanic pretty heavily to be able to actually finish some puzzles and finish some levels, because if you don't use it, you won't actually be able to do it. So I think that's the part of it that I liked the most, was the actual little puzzle part. Besides the platforming, just the puzzles were pretty well thought out. And I'm not usually a puzzle game person, but it had me thinking and trying to try different things and everything like that. So getting to figure out how to get through to the end of the level, or to even figure out a piece of a puzzle in that level, was pretty engaging. The art style is very interesting in this game, as you can see on screen. It's different. It's kind of like painted on almost, which I like. It's a 360 game. I mean, if you're really into platformers, this is up your alley. But if you really love, puzzle games and figuring out puzzles and trying to work out solutions to problems, then this would be the game for you. I personally won't play it anymore or play it again. But if you are the puzzle person, this is a game you should definitely go ahead and at least try out and see if it's something worth it for you. So for me, not worth it to continue to play, but I am glad that I did spend some time on it, just because it kind of was a bit refreshing from just playing like a shooter or something. So not worth it for me, but if you're a puzzle person, definitely go ahead and just give it a shot. So at number 5, we have Full Metal Furies. So I'm not really into this game all that much. I can see where the enjoyment's there for it, but for me personally, not my type of game. Graphically, it's just, kind of a little 8-bit, whatever, 16-bit, I'm not exactly sure which one. But, graphically it's not outstanding, which I don't really care too much about that. But I couldn't get into it. It just wasn't my type of game. But it's something I feel like if you have you and 3 buddies, you could get at least a couple of hours of enjoyment out of, especially the way you can upgrade your character to have different weapons and maybe different abilities that you unlock. So it seems like it'd be heavily emphasized on teamwork. It's definitely a, play with at least one buddy type of game. Maybe that's why I didn't enjoy it all that much, because I only played by myself. So I feel like if you and your buddies are all burnt out on like Call of Duty or, fucking GTA or something, and you guys just want something a little different to kind of give yourself a breather from those other games, this could be the game for you then. I feel like you could get some crazy enjoyment out of it, all the enemies spawning on screen and just button mashing and throwing abilities and everything like that. But I would feel like you'd only get maybe 3 hours of enjoyment out of this, even with friends. And like I said, it's kind of that breather game. So it's not a very big download. It's not going to take up a whole lot of space. If you and your buddies are really that bored, go ahead and give it a shot, but for me, it wasn't worth it as a game. Alright, so at number 6, we have Metal Slug 3. I absolutely love this game because this is a game that I remember playing in an arcade or something. You know, you put your coins in the arcade machine and you just play until you run out of lives, run out of time. You know, it was one of those games like as a kid, you know, if I ever went to a movie theater or a bowling alley or something, or even laser tag that had an arcade that usually always had a Metal Slug game. Maybe not always 3, but always had a Metal Slug game. It's just over the top ridiculousness. You know, you get spawned in with your gun and you're pretty much just mashing the fire button the entire time, moving your stick all crazy like to make him shoot at different points of the screen. Mechanically, it runs basically the same way. The stick is kind of weird and wonky compared to an arcade stick would be. I would suggest using the D-pad. It seemed to have worked better for me. But I mean, if you just want to play one of those old school arcade games that you miss playing or just want to give it a shot, it'd be a game to play for sure. It's really fun. It's a simple game. You know, you're really just going crazy, shooting all over the screen like it's nobody's business the whole time. So, I would say you want that nostalgia feel, sure, or if you just want to get an hour or two of enjoyment out of it, why not? Definitely worth it in my book just for the nostalgia of it all. Like I said, small game downloads, not a big game, not going to take up much space. So if you just want to be like, screw it, I just kind of want that nostalgia feel, go ahead and give it a shot before it goes. At number 7, we have the Banner Saga 2. So I'm not sure why they're taking the second one off before the first one. It doesn't really make any sense to me, but who am I? This game's interesting to me. Like I said, I haven't a whole lot of any of these games, really. But this one seems interesting, and it's something I think I'll actually try to go back and play some before it gets taken off. The art style is really cool to me. I love the art style. It's like a management strategy game, which I love strategy games, and I very rarely find any good ones on Xbox. It's usually a shitty port from a PC game over to Xbox, but this is a pretty refreshing game when it comes to strategy. You have to manage, you know, how much supplies your people have, and whenever you're traveling to different cities, if you guys don't rest at camp often enough, you'll lose morale, which could equal in losing people to your cause, and you have to have people that'll fight in your armies to, you know, to have these engagements with the enemy. I think they're called the Dredge. Like I said, I haven't played much of this game, and I actually haven't played a whole lot of the first one either, so I really don't know the full story behind it. But just based on, you know, the art style I love and based on the mechanics of it, a really, really fun game. This would be another game that I would suggest, kind of like Bomber Crew. It's a, if you want that strategy itch scratch, this is the game to play. You know, I feel like the story is going to develop in really good ways. I really need to go back and play the first one for sure. But I feel like the story developed in a very good way, which, you know, would probably be an interesting thing. It kind of has this Viking-esque story or art style and everything, which I love learning about different Vikings and Viking clans and playing games that have stuff to do with Vikings. I think they're really cool and interesting. As far as the combat, it's turn-based combat, not too different from something maybe like Divinity Original Sin or something of that nature. So it's turn-based combat strategy, but very fun game, interesting game. Didn't play it for much longer, but I probably will play it some more. So I definitely suggest go ahead and trying this out. Just even for an hour or two, just to see if it's something up your alley. Not a very big game download. Doesn't take up a whole lot of space. So I would say, in my book, it's worth it to go ahead and give it a try. So at number 8, we have Smoke and Sacrifice. Smoke and Sacrifice, not really my cup of tea of a game, but I can see how it's interesting. Graphically, it's got a cool art style. It's kind of like looking at a picture book almost, or, you know, picture cutouts, and they're being placed on screen. So that's kind of interesting. I feel like the story in this game could develop into pretty good ways. I don't want to say too much about it in case you do want to play this game, but it seems that it's almost steampunk era type of vibe going on. I'm not exactly sure on how to explain it, but you kind of have this sun tree that everybody in your village worships, and the sun tree looks like it's like an electrical tree, like it has bulbs and stuff coming out of it. So it's definitely seems like it's ran by electricity and not because it's just the sun tree that they all worship. So story-wise, I think it could develop into something really cool, and it might be something that would be worth just that. I don't think it's worth too much as far as gameplay or anything, but story-wise could develop into something. For me, not worth it, but I feel like just with the good chance of it developing into a good story, if that's somebody that's you, that's really all you care about is the story, you don't really care too much about the gameplay, then this might be the game for you. But for me, not worth it. At number 9, we have Silence the Whispered World 2. So this game gives me very much Telltale vibes. You know, like the Walking Dead games or the Wolf Among Us. This is very similar to those types of games. So if you've played those games, I really do think you'd enjoy this. Story-wise, this game actually had me drawn in. I actually wanted to keep playing it, but noticed my recording time was coming up for it. But I mean, if I wouldn't have noticed that, I would have just kept playing and playing and playing it. Story-wise, seems like a really interesting game. It's kind of got this dark undertone to it. You know, you're playing as this, seems like a brother and sister, and you're playing as a brother, and there's a war going on. I'm not sure what time period exactly or what war it would be. It doesn't really talk about anything like that. But, you know, you guys hide out in a bunker, and there's bombs dropping and everything like that all around you. And I won't say too much after that because I don't possibly give anything away. But I will say, just based on what I've played of it and seen of it, that it had me thinking of different scenarios of to what was happening in game, like why things were happening a certain way, why, you know, the story was developing in its own way, and why things were popping up. And I already came up with like 3 or 4 different ideas and only played the game for about 20 minutes. So just having a game that makes you think of like all these crazy, oh well, what if it's this, or what if it's that, or it could be this, or it could be that, or oh no, holy shit, I think it might be this. Having a game within 20 minutes have me do that is astonishing to me, and I feel like I'm definitely going to go back and play it before it leaves. So my opinion, worth it. Like I said, Telltale series gameplay, about Telltale series graphics. So if those are one of those games that you've played or had any interest in, go ahead and play this. I feel like it's definitely worth that time. And if you're somebody that just enjoys maybe a mysterious story that you're trying to figure out and gather clues on your own account, then this would be a game for you. So, in my opinion, worth it. Go give it a shot. At number 10, we have Ruiner. Not usually my type of game. It's kind of like it's a twin stick shooter. So it's kind of got that almost top-down view, and you know everything's pretty much done with your sticks and a couple of your buttons. Almost gives me Super Hot vibes if you've played Super Hot, as far as like the little subliminal messages and stuff like that, and the way it's just telling you to do things. And gameplay, not at all like Super Hot, but story-wise and the way it kind of presents itself definitely seems like Super Hot to me. So, if you have interest in Super Hot, I think you'd have interest in this game as far as story goes. Gameplay, I'm not really a twin stick shooter guy. Don't really like them. Never been really a big fan of them. But it's almost like, I think it's Halo Spartan Assault. So if you've played that, it's very similar to it. Graphically, it's pretty cool. It has an interesting art style. It's kind of like this futuristic corporation type of art style. But you really, from the little bit that I did play of it, it just seems like you're this robot guy going around and murdering shit. It's probably so much more than that. Just from the little bit I've seen in cutscenes, it seems like it has a developing story that could be, worth your time at looking at. But gameplay-wise, not for me. Story-wise, I've probably seen it before. Art style's kind of cool. Not for me, not worth it. But if you're a twin stick shooter and that's all you really care about is just that gameplay, then this is the game for you. If you're looking for something that seems similar to Super Hot, could be up your alley. But me, just gonna have to say not worth it. And lastly, we have Wolfenstein: The New Order. So you probably all have heard of Wolfenstein. You've probably seen the gameplays of it. You've probably even played it a little bit. So there's not too much I can say about it that you don't already know. But I would say it's worth it. It's a pretty fun game, and it kind of brings back similar to that old school shooter style, like old school Doom, old school Wolfenstein. And so it seems like it's just that with, you know, a bit of an upgrade. It's just been, you know, tweaked and enhanced, but not too much I can say about it. Story-wise, interesting. I mean, shit, you're just literally going around fucking up Nazis. It's pretty cool. Gameplay-wise, the shooting's super fun. It almost gives me, you know, Dishonored vibes because you can sneak around and stuff, but, you know, also kind of has those Doom vibes because you can just pull out 2 shotguns and start blasting everything in your way. You know, so it's a good game. I mean, if you haven't played it already, I don't know how or why you haven't, but definitely go ahead and download it and play it before it goes. Just even especially because the other 2 Wolfensteins are also on Game Pass, and if you want to play them and go through the story, you might as well go ahead and start the first one, play through it. I don't know how long the game is. I don't know. I haven't really beat it. I've only probably gotten a quarter of the way into the game, so I'm not sure how long, but I know usually these games aren't the longest thing ever, maybe 15, 20 hours. So if out of everything in this list didn't excite you or have any interest to you, I feel like Wolfenstein could pretty much interest most people because it's, you know, it's a shooter, it's over the top, it's crazy, it's fun. So honestly, if you haven't played it, you might as well go ahead and play it because it's a good game. So definitely worth it in my book. You probably already knew that, but had to touch up on it anyways. So yeah. And that's it. That's our list of games leaving Game Pass. If there's any, you know, any of these games that you know more about that I don't, please share in the comments, so other people that may be watching the video can learn more about those games. Because like I said, these were quick reviews. I didn't play a whole lot of these games. Didn't really know what I was doing in these games. It was just I played a little bit of it just to kind of get a feel for it and to be able to show you guys the art style and the mechanics and how it plays. So I really don't know too much about the video, about the games, but if you guys know anything more about them, just leave it in the comments so other people can learn about the games and maybe help influence their decision on whether or not it's going to be worth it to play those games. But yeah, other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and see you next time.
I can tell y'all wanna talk like me. I can tell y'all wanna walk like me. I can tell you wanna be just like me. I can tell y'all wanna talk like me. I can tell y'all wanna walk like me. I can tell you wanna be just like me. I can tell.